So, this is one of a series of videos I think I'm going to do about some of the usual suspects or the various beings that we find ourselves entangled with in these fantastical scenarios. And I think today I'm going to talk about, or this evening, as you can plainly see, it is without sunlight. I'm going to talk about the Greys. They are a group of beings that honestly, I mean, I hate using the term gray because I don't know, they're more complicated than that. And it's such a strange situation involving them and just kind of how they've been labeled over the years. Quite possibly one of the most popular figures when it comes to modern ufology, which I really can't stand because it's bullshit. Most of it is bullshit. Um, I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, for the most part, a lot of these groups, a lot of the research is kind of heavily uh, edited, messed with by the government. So it's kind of their their narrative that they're kind of piping down into the populace, and that's really the way it is when it comes to the Greys, because for the most part those are the beings that kind of people started associating with alien abductions and UFOs, and to this day they still kind of associate with alien abductions and UFOs. But I mean, if you know anything or if you have any experiences, you know it's a lot more complicated than that. And I think that the Greys kind of factor into this whole agenda that our government and other forces are utilizing to kind of steer the story towards what they want it to be. When in fact, I mean, it's almost anything, everything but. But anyway, so I mean, I think the Greys kind of first popped into the public consciousness back in the 1940s. They're greatly associated with the crash in Roswell, which I don't think it was. I don't know if I really don't believe in the whole Roswell crash. Like, I think there was more to that situation. First of all, I think that I think something happened, but I don't think that it was what we were told, even what was leaked to the public, because there is some weirdness there. I mean, originally, if you follow the story, they said a weather balloon had fallen, and then they changed. Like, it kept changing, so as they kind of went in and started to um, cover the whole thing up. But the idea of these aliens or these beings in this ship and suddenly they crashed, and I mean, I don't really buy it like that, because for the most part it's not, in my experience, it's not really as nuts and bolts as that. Literally, like, physically nuts and bolts. Most of these beings, with the exception of like the stuff that's kind of really connected to our government, but even now I think that even that has gotten to a point where it's advanced enough to kind of be classified with a lot of the others. Most of that stuff is so advanced, like, they don't just crash like that. These ships don't just crash. Like, it's not like a car that that turns down, that makes the wrong turn or has a blowout like that. They don't crash like that. Like, when these things explode or blow up or destroy, like, it's a different process altogether, because you're dealing with trans-dimensional materials, and you're dealing with weird pockets and space-time and dimensional rifts and all this stuff, man. Like, it's just so much more complicated. But anyway, the Greys, as far as I understand them, because actually I've had probably a couple of experiences where I can definitively say that I've, like, physically been in the presence of beings that were not human. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot of like internal like knowing that I've been around these things, but like I know for a fact, like I've had direct experiences, like physically. Okay, I see this thing, and one of them has been with the Greys, and I think there's multiple types, and as far as I can understand, I think that the Grey itself is it's almost like a template. It's a template that is utilized by multiple species to they it's like imagine like you buy this template and you make your own Greys. Like it's like a playset, make your own Grey. And I think that's what they do. I think they mass produce them. I think there are different groups and factions that make these beings. I think there are levels and tiers to their production and to their existence. I think that some are clearly they're clearly artificial. They are walking, they're like robots. They're like androids. And if you've ever had an abduction experience and you can remember, most likely you would have been dealing with them when they had you on the table or they were doing some kind of medical experiment. You were dealing with them. It wasn't any of the other types. Like in my like memories and like the things that I can remember, it was always this feeling that, so you had the Greys that were always conducting the experiments or like doing whatever, and then you had like you almost could feel the other presence, the other groups, or the other beings kind of in the background, watching, observing, studying, but they would never be in the exact vicinity with the Greys. I think that there are, like I said, there are the ones that they're like androids. They're cybernetic. They're mostly machine. I think they run off of a hive brain, a hive. They're like almost like an insect-like. And so you gotta understand, there's lots of different types too. Like you got the ones that are clearly just machines. You got the ones that are mixed with like mantids, like giant mantis type beings. You have the ones that are mixed with reptilians. You have the ones that are just kind of out there on their own and that are not exactly machines or robots. They vary in size and kind of different skin texture, different skin color. I know that the black eyes that you see for most of them, the black eyes, like the traditional black, like those large black round almond shaped eyes, those are like covers. They're almost like lenses. There's actually a different type of eye underneath. Sometimes it can be reptilian, sometimes it can be other types. They are, I think that some of them are utilized as extra dimensional bodysuits for beings that cannot come into this dimension directly and interact directly because their physiology is too effing weird to come here. So they can interface. They're like a blank slate to interface with, so they can do things here and interact here. I think that some of them are more organic. I think that the template has actually been given to our government, and I think that they mass produce them and use them too. So I think that a lot of times people are like, "Oh, I got abducted by Greys, by aliens, whatever," but like it was just part of like a government thing, because I think they have them and they just use them. They're like little these little demonic helper robots. I think there are the species of them, maybe the ones that kind of existed beforehand, before a lot of this stuff happened. Because if you go back all the way back to like ancient Sumeria, they're connected with that. You see depictions of like the Anunnaki, and I mean, some people call them the Agigi. I don't think that's what they were. I think they're another group or species altogether. Is that a cat? Okay. Hello, kitty. How you doing? I'm making a video. You gonna be on my video? Hey there. You're adorable. What's your name? Hi. Are you even a kitty? Hey. Hi. Anyway, yeah. So you go back to like the Anunnaki. Please excuse the dogs barking. Depictions of. And I've got a cat that's just chilling with me now. All right. Depictions of the Anunnaki, depictions of like the being Lilith. She's connected with the owls, which is also something that these Greys are connected with. It's really weird, man. Like, for some reason, and I have a friend who thoroughly believes that they are connected. Not just him. If you go back to the Sherry Shriner materials, she talks about the connection between the Greys and Lilith, which is interesting because here's the connection between all of them, right? Lilith is connected to the owls, right? Anytime you see a depiction of Lilith, you see owls. Like, those are her messengers. Those are her consorts, her little bros, right? And the Greys, strangely enough, Greys are associated with owls. In fact, if you go back and like really go through a lot of abduction experiences, and people talk about their whole, the things that happen to them, especially in the woods, they'll say that, especially like during like moments of lost time, or right before the abduction, right after, they had these weird experiences with owls. Also, owls figure very prominently in abduction screen memories. And if you don't know what a screen memory is, I'm sure most people do, it's just basically, it's the memory that's inserted in your mind to negate or counteract the actual memory of your abduction when they took you. And with a lot of people, like when they'll be out in the woods and they clearly saw a Grey, in like hypnotic form or whatever, it'll be replaced with an owl. Very strange. Greys and owls there's that really weird link there that's but again, a lot of people think that if you study the story of Lilith, and she's like the mother of abominations, and then like the Greys are like one of her many groups of children. The original Greys, I don't know, maybe, quite possibly. But I know that now at this point there are so many different species and subspecies and different, like, it's like a genre of music that's been like fractured so many damn times, it's impossible to really know what the original genre was that kind of created it all. But what else? They're telepathic. They can project thoughts. They don't speak through like traditional vocal means. They project their thoughts into your mind. They can also project images and scenarios into your mind. They can cloak. Some of them utilize technology to do so. Other ones can mentally project the appearance that they're not there. If you have gone through YouTube and gone through the rabbit hole of alien footage, you'll see that like a lot of it is like people in the woods, and like you'll see like an outline or like some weird shape of a Grey just kind of hiding in they do that a lot. But they're the gophers. They're the lackeys. And so many different groups use them. And also, some groups will use Greys just to take the heat off of them. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because you have an experience and you remember Greys, that doesn't mean that was the group that got you, or the group that had anything to do with your experience. They were just there to carry out a specific task or series of tasks. This actually might be the longest video I've done. Like I said, I'm gonna do more on this level of like with the different types of beings, and yeah. What else am I? Oh, so I think one of the best, you see Greys in so many different types of media, but one of the, everything from like, you see like stuff like Fire in the Sky, and there's so much. But one of my favorite depictions of the Greys is in the movie Jupiter Ascending, and a lot of people shit on that movie, but there's so much truth in that movie. There's so much just straight out just truth, and I think that's why they tried to like brush it under the rug. But like the Greys play an interesting part in that, you know, they show them carrying out like abduction-ish kind of scenarios. They also like are performing an operation on someone, but they're cloaked as people beforehand, and it's not until the aura, the glamour is broken that you see what they really are. And that's one of the few times I've ever seen that depicted in modern in film at all. So, but anyway, if you have any questions or you've had any experiences with these beings, please comment below. I'd like to talk about it. I think that the more we kind of familiarize ourselves with these things, the easier things will be. But I mean, like, really get like to the heart of it, not just kind of gloss over it. But I think, so one more quick thing about Greys is that there are a lot of people walking around that have gray souls or gray consciousness archetypes, consciousness templates, and they're inside of human bodies. They're very dead, wooden, almost robotic, but they walk around as people, but their spirit is a gray, if you even want to call it a spirit. I don't know, for lack of a better word. But anyway, I've been running my mouth for too long, so yeah, good night, guys, and talk to you when I talk to you.